So, a game I've been playing a lot lately actually is The Grim Forest. This is designed by Tim Eisner. Multiple artists are Noah Edelman, Lena Cosette, and David Forrest. And it's published by Druid City Games. And I think this is the first Druid City games I have. But the production quality is insane for this game. So, what you're doing is you're playing the role of, I think you're the nephews of the Three Little Pigs, or there's some familial relationship with the Three Little Pigs, but you're all trying to build either a glass. Three houses. You're trying to build a straw house or a brick house or a wood house. And so the first person to build three houses wins the game. Now, they don't all have to be different kinds of houses. They can be three of the same kind. But you're doing this by secretly saying which area you're going to go to get the correct resource for that house. So if you're wanting to build your house out of wheat, you have to go to the wheat fields. If you want to build a brick house, you have to go to the brick fields. The brick house? Brick house.
Brick house.
uh, but what's interesting about this is as you're doing that, the other people are doing the same thing. So as you secretly decide, you reveal, and then everyone goes there and you divide the resources up equally amongst those who are there. So it's a lot of like push your luck, like, am I going to be the only one who gets there? You're trying to see what other people are doing, and you're building these houses up in sections, in the floor, the walls, and in the ceiling. But this all gets all janky with other cards coming into play. You have friends that are coming in and that just manipulate what you can do. There are fable cards that affect the resources on the board and can destroy things, and they bring out monsters. The whole theme is grim fairy tales, hence the Grim Forest. And so you have all these like Cinderella and Pinocchio and all these characters that you know coming into play, and it's extremely thematic. Their abilities are exactly what you would think they would do, and this game is beautiful, completely overproduced for what it is, but I absolutely love it. I've brought it out multiple times recently with people who I don't game with a lot, or they're not big gamers, but they like board games. It's really easy to teach. It's really easy to just kind of get into and understand. It's also one of the meanest games I've played in a long time, but they make it really accessible still, or even though it's so mean, it's still really fun. And I mean mean to the point where if you play a card, it could destroy a whole section in your house that you spent 2 turns to build or something, or it destroys all the resources in an area that you thought you would get. Just things like that, but it's all kind of mitigated through other cards, but it's so light that it's just so good. Now, is this a game that you've seen, or have you played it or anything?
Yeah, so I was at a board game store this last weekend and I had saw it. It looks like this was Did you get the Kickstarter for this game at all?
No, but it's the exact same. There were no exclusives, and what happened, and the game that was produced from Kickstarter was exactly what's in your stores now. It's the same thing.
That's really cool because I'm looking at it right now. This was pledged $405,000. Wow.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm trying to figure out when the campaign ran. But anyways, it looks like, yeah, we finally started getting copies into our local gaming stores, and I saw it. And again, I'm a sucker for box art, and the kind of cartoony / realistic combination of the artwork and everything in the box kind of drew me to it. And I took a look at it, and it has a very similar tone to a very popular game that came out actually a few months ago called Stuffed Fables. Have you heard of Stuffed Fables at all?
Yeah, I have. And I was interested in it because I really loved Mice and Mystics.
Yeah.
So I was, with my kids, but I don't know. I think my kids are a bit too young, but it totally looks like that. It's a very Disney-esque aesthetic.
Yeah, I would say so. Almost a little bit more darker. If you take a look at the box for Grim Forest, like there's this kind of big scary wolf and the mean-looking witch on the cover. And what's interesting is that Stuffed Fables, I've heard, not only appeals to the adult crowd, but to the kids crowd as well. Do you feel like a game like Grim Forest could be something that your kids would enjoy? Maybe not now, but maybe a few years.
Here's the thing. It depends on their attitudes towards games, because this game I could see could just make them cry. It's like, but in a funny way. I don't know if that's am I a bad parent? I don't know.
No, I mean, well, to me, I think what the biggest concern is that take that mechanic, right? So
Yeah.
you're saying how mean it is, and obviously for someone that's younger who has a card played at them that completely destroys a piece of their house or whatever that they worked on building, I mean, that can be kind of traumatic in a board gaming way, I suppose, in terms of, losing what you've gained. So I actually am curious, like, it sounds like that take that mechanic is pretty brutal. Did people get turned off by that at all? Because I know some people were just like, don't want any part of that, right? They
Right.
just want to be able to kind of do their own thing, and if they're too slow, that's just how they played. Versus, they felt like they were playing optimally, only to have someone just kind of swipe and be like, "Oh, nope, that's it."
So I did with one couple I played this with. I was a bit wary about that actually because there's one person who hates things like that. If there's something that just kind of is attacky or takes away someone's progress, she's not a big fan of that, understandably. And so I heavily prefaced the game with that, but she actually really enjoyed it, and I was actually a bit surprised, but I think it's mitigated by the other things you can do and just kind of the whole theme and the weight of the game where it's not that big of a deal. A game probably takes an hour and a half, if you're like chatting through it, because it's a social game. It's a hangout and chat type game.
Yeah.
And so it's not that big of a deal. It's not like if you're playing a really heavy game and you put all this effort into it, and then there's the card that just annihilates your figures or something. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal for that couple. So also there was an official variant that the designer put out where there are specific cards you can take out to make it less mean.
Okay. Sure.
So, I mean, I don't think I'd play with that because I think that aspect is fun, and that was actually hesitant. I was actually hesitant to buy it at first because of that, but after seeing a bunch of playthroughs, and I played at a friend's house, and he had it, and it's honestly I'm probably making it worse or making it out worse than what it actually is. But it's a fun game. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, looking at the components here for $50, in which you could potentially get even cheaper through an online retailer or even at a game store, which they usually kind of mark down. It seems like you are getting a good value for your dollar with all the plastic sculpts. It looks like the chits are either not cardboard. Are they kind of 3D or are they just regular old shits?
And so the house pieces are plastic.
Right.
The resource pieces are cardboard. The insert was done by Game Trace.
Yep. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
And
They're
so
really awesome.
They're so awesome. Like, I'm shocked I was able to get it for $50 MSRP. Like, I think that is such a great value for this game. And yes, people might think it's a bit overproduced, but if you're bringing it out to the crowd that's not really into board games, I think that's where the value comes in, because it's just there's a lot of game there. I already feel like I've got my money's worth from this game just for bringing out how easy it is to teach. And I think actually there was one couple we played it with, and they said after we were done, she said, "I think we should get this game." So it just like it kind of sells itself, especially because it's not that expensive for what you're getting in the game.
That's a great feeling when you get done with a game and that person just kind of sits there and talks to their significant other or just talks out loud and said, "This is really awesome. I feel like I really need to get it." It's, there's no intention in terms of ever wanting to sell somebody on a game. You're just wanting to bring it out to share an experience, and for them to be able to then take that and hopefully share that experience with someone else too. That makes me feel good. So that's really great. This sounds like a really awesome suggestion, and as well too, talking about that component quality, the artwork as well. We talked about it on the box art and on the card work as well too. It looks very colorful. It looks really well done. So kudos to the design team and the illustration team for the work they did. Yeah, this looks really good, man.
Yeah, I dig it. That's The Grim Forest by Druid City Games.